Okay, thank you, everyone. Welcome. Tonight is the meeting for Elmwood Drive, a community meeting to discuss the proposed traffic calming plan. My name is Neil Freshman. I'm with Fairfax County DOT in the traffic engineering section. Presenting tonight will be Benaz Raouf. We also have Grace Vaughn. Also joining us is Aaron Campbell from the Franconia District Office. Typically, we also have Steve Knutson here, who leads the Residential Traffic Administration Program. Unfortunately, he could not be here tonight. Hopefully, we can answer all your questions and give you all the information needed. At this point, I will turn it over to Benaz to begin the presentation. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Neil. Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the meeting, and thank you all for joining us. Tonight, we are going to talk about the traffic calming program for Elmwood Drive. So please note that this session will be recorded and may be shared on social media. And please hold all your questions until the end of the presentation. And the instruction to how answer your questions will be provided at the end of the presentation. So today we are here to explain the traffic calming process, provide an opportunity for community feedback, and answering any questions you all might have. So we'll start with traffic calming and the definition for that. Traffic calming is generally the installation of physical devices to reduce vehicle speed, and these devices can be either vertical or horizontal. Vertical devices are driven over, such as speed hump showing up to the left, while you drive around horizontal devices, such as raised median island, that the image showing up to the right of the screen. And both types of devices make the road safer for both drivers and pedestrians and all other users. And we want you to know that through this process, we are not permitted to install stop signs. Here we have charts and images showing the impacts of decreased speed. As speed decreases, visual acuity, field of vision, and depth of perception increase. Also, with reduced speed, we come to significant reduction in the number and also severity of crashes involving motor vehicles. So if you look at the slide here, we have the map of traffic calming projects throughout the county. There are over 200 projects, resulting in almost 500 devices countywide. Every district has the devices, and chances that you have driven over is pretty high. So the upcoming program can be broken up into 5 steps. So step 1 is project initiation, step 2, plan development, step 3, community engagement, step 4, ballot phase, and step 5, which is the final step, is project installation. So we go through each step one by one. So as you might know, all traffic calming projects are always community initiating. So the process begins with the request from the community to the supervisor's office. Once the request received, we will first complete a basic eligibility review. Next, we will conduct the traffic study, and once it passes both the eligibility and traffic study, the community then form a task force. There are eligibility requirements that need to be met, and they are: the road needs to be VDOT maintained road, have a 25 mph speed limit, be functionally classified as local, collector, or arterial, and if it is collector or arterial, it needs to be residential street. There's also traffic study components. Here we have the traffic study results for Elmwood Drive. For the volume criteria, we need between 500 to 6,000 vehicles in 24 hours, both directions combined. So for this project, we had 3,925. So we met the volume criteria. And for speed criteria, the 85th percentile of speed needs to be greater than or equal to 35 mph in at least one direction of travel. So the speed that we found was 40 on eastbound and 35 on westbound, which means that we met the speed criteria as well. So step 2 is plan development. In this step, we conduct a site visit in the field in order to develop a draft plan. Once we have the draft plan, we will meet with the task force to get feedback and then amend the plan if necessary. Once the task force is satisfied with the draft plan, then homeowners directly adjacent to any proposed measures will need to sign off the placement of the device in order to move on to the next step. Here we have device placement requirements as well. Based on the guideline that we have, we need minimum 300 feet between measures and from existing stop conditions. We need minimum of 150 feet from any intersections, minimum of 150 feet for adequate sight distance with any device, and it has to be fit on the existing roadway. So we have to take into account any driveways, manholes, or utilities, and we also count for the grade of the road. So based on those requirements, we were able to draft a plan and propose 2 speed humps on Elmwood Drive, as you can see on the map here. And then the addresses that is listed here are the ones that need to sign off because the devices are adjacent to their homes. Here we have a graphic of speed hump. So it's going to be 12 feet long and 3 inches in the center. And here the speed hump is 12 feet long and 3 inches high at the center. And there will be a white chevron as well in each travel lane and speed hump signs with a recommended speed of 15 miles per hour on each side of the speed hump as well. So step 3 is a community meeting where we are here tonight. This is where we present the plan for the community to obtain feedback. Based on the feedback, the task force will decide whether to amend the plan or proceed to the next phase. If the task force decide to move forward, we can move to next step, which is ballot phase. So in ballot phase, each household in the ballot area will receive 1 vote. It will need to send it directly to the district supervisor's office. The ballot period will be open for a minimum of 3 weeks, and supervisor's office will tally the votes and notify task force of the results. Here you can see an example of a ballot. The proposal devices will be listed on the ballot and the committee will be voting for the entire plan. The task force is responsible here for distributing the ballot packages to everyone in the ballot area. So there are 3 ways to return your ballot by the deadline. One way is that you can mail the ballots. You can also hand deliver to the supervisor's office, or you can email it to the supervisor's office. Please do not return your ballot to the task force, and please use one of the methods listed above. Here we have the ballot area map for the Elmwood Drive. So there are 55 ballots. And in order for the proposed plan to move forward, we would need greater than 50% of all households to vote in favor. And so we would need 28 yes votes in order to move to the next step. So if we get the required number of yes votes, we can move on to step 5, project installation, which is the final step. So traffic calming plan will be presented to the Fairfax County Board of Supervisors for endorsement. And then the resolution will be sent to FCDOT. FCDOT will work with the Department of Public Works and Environmental Services to schedule installation. And finally, the traffic measures on the plan will be installed. So here is the end of the presentation. Thank you so much for your kind attention. Here is the instruction how to ask your question. So you have 2 options. You can chat or you can speak. Once the chat item is activated on Teams, you can use it by typing your question. And if you want to speak, please click on raise your hand icon so that you will be unmuted once it's your turn. And if you are on the phone, please push *5 to raise your hand. And when it's your turn, the host will call you to ask your question. You need to push *6 to unmute. And after you're finished, please push *5 again to unraise your hand. Thank you so much.
Okay, I see the number ending in 4123 had their hand up. I'm gonna send you a request to unmute your mic.
Hi, I'm Karen Kroll. I live in Elmwood. I guess my question was, did any of this portion of the study include East Drive at all, or the turn near the intersection of East and Elmwood? Or where was the study boundaries that was used in order to get your information? Can you hear me?
So do you mean the location of study?
Yeah, so the study that you did on all the traffic and the speeds and everything, did that include East Drive and the corner there and the intersection of East and Elmwood, or is just a portion of Elmwood? I'm looking for where you did the study, like as far as the boundaries of that.
Renaz is looking for the data collection map. But while she's doing that, let me explain one thing, and that is we often get asked about the study. The study's purpose is to qualify for the traffic calming program. It's not the same as a comprehensive study that we would do if we were like changing a roadway or changing an intersection. So generally, the data is collected in one or two locations. Banaz, have you located exactly where the count station was?
I'm trying to find it. I know that the request was from, I can shoot yes. Just a second that I can share it. Can you see it?
Sorry,
Can you
I'm
also
actually on the phone,
describe the location, Banaz?
Yes, the request that we received to get the study is from the South Quaker Lane, if I pronounce it correctly, up to East Drive.
Okay, okay, that makes sense. Thank you.
Just this part of the road.
Yes, that answers my question. Perfect. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. It looks like the next question from Miriam, she asked to see the locations for the humps again. And then she also asked if the data was only collected on the April 2023 date.
So let me just say the speed hump locations are adjacent to 3117 and 3118 Elmwood Drive, and then another speed hump adjacent to 3102 and 3103 Elmwood Drive. As to the dates, was there only one date of collection, Banaz and Grace, do you know?
we have the data collection on the traffic study slide. Let me just bring it up. So for 19, 20, 23 is the time that we did the study for this road. And we actually had 3 speed humps proposed for this road, but because we couldn't get enough the sign off from the adjacent property, so we had to relocate the devices and turn them to 2 measures and this length of the Elmwood Drive.
Okay, thank you. Miriam also asked if there's any accompanying signage for the humps, and if so, where will they be posted?
Vinaz, are you going to respond to that?
Well, let me see the question again.
Well, I'll respond and just chime in if I miss anything. Basically, at the each end of this road, there will be a sign alerting drivers that speed humps are ahead. And then at the speed hump in each direction, there's a sign alerting drivers that the speed hump is right there. So they don't go too fast over it, with a recommended speed of 15 miles per hour, but that's not a speed limit. The speed limit remains the same. It's just a recommended speed.
Okay, thank you. Miriam also was asking about there was a big volume of vehicles and wondering if the study was only taken on one date. So it was just a 1 day, 24-hour study, yes. And then I believe had his hand raised, so I will send you a request to unmute your mic.
Oh. Hello?
We can hear you.
Okay, thank you. Thank you for doing this presentation. My question is more of a comment, I believe. The proposed location there at 3102 and 3103, it seems to me that, maybe I'm wrong about this, but that is so close to East Drive, it looks like it's only about 5 houses away. Cars, it seems to me, would already be slowing down if they're coming eastbound, and certainly would not have accelerated any meaningful speed above 25, if at all, going westbound. So that's just a curiosity and a comment and a question. Thank you.
I mean, I'll respond to that. We do find traffic calming plans work better when there are multiple devices in sequence. And I will say, like, even though as a outsider that doesn't live in your neighborhood, this doesn't look like such a long stretch, the 85th percentile speeds were quite high. So there definitely was a problem identified. I think the minimum to qualify is 35, and one of the directions had 40. So, but that's why, this is going to ballot, so everyone in the neighborhood can have their input.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay, thank you. The next question in chat comes from Marcos, asking how soon after the meeting should we expect to receive the ballots? If they will be sent by mail only, and if they'll be available, will they be in English and Spanish?
So as to when that will be done, that is up to the task force. How they are delivered, again, that's up to the task force. They can be mailed to residents or they can be dropped off. The task force will have to decide that. If there is a request to do them in Spanish, in English and Spanish, we can do that.
Okay, thank you, Neil. I see the number ending in 4123 has another question. I'll send you another request.
Yes, so this is Taryn Pohl again. I live in Elmwood. I actually live on 3003, so right at the corner of East Elmwood. And I just wanted to respond to my other neighbor that had the comment about the speed around the corner. This year alone, I've had 2 cars end up in my front yard basically because of crashes on the corner of people coming around that corner quickly. And they either hit the curb and then they've ended up in our yard, or they've hit other cars and ended up in our yard. So I do think it sounds like normally people do slow down around the corner of East Drive, but that's not the case. So just from your own neighbor, I just wanted to voice that corner is quite dangerous and does get a lot of speeding and accidents happen. So just someone that lives there, I can attest to that does happen in that space.
Okay, thank you for sharing. I'll go to the next question from the number ending in 7197. I'll send you a request right now.
Hi. My name is
Hello.
Dolores Owen. Hi. I just wanted to comment also with the young lady that commented just now about the Elmwood and East Drive. My husband and I, we lived at 3102 where it's proposed to be put, and we are so in favor of this. We've had 2 cars. We've been here 53 years in this neighborhood. We've had 2 cars, and just last week, our neighbor at 3106 had a car, and the fence on the corner at 3108 was tore down by a driver. Now we sit in our living rooms, and we hear people when they start at the corner of East Drive coming into Elmwood, and we hear them rev it at night. Now that's a speeding problem, I understand. Of course, we don't have radar anymore in here, but it has been. I'm really afraid for the children and the people trying to cross the street also. But in the 53 years we've lived here, I can't count on how many accidents and problems there's been because of speeding on this road. So I'm totally in favor of this. Thank you.
Thank you. Next question from the number ending in 1661. I'm going to allow you to unmute yourself.
Hi, my name is Nicole. I also live on Elmwood Drive. Been here about 20 years. I'm flabbergasted at the amount of cars it's just mind-boggling that many cars go through our little neighborhood. And I have also seen and heard numerous people speeding through, running the stop sign and just no regard. And I don't know if these are people just cutting through our neighborhood or if these are neighbors. So I have 2 questions. One, if for some reason these speed humps tables don't get in the vote, is speed camera the next option? I mean, what would the other options be?
I can respond to that. So if this ballot failed, the neighborhood can go through the process again. I think there's a 2-year window to wait. I'm not sure. As to speed cameras, currently in Virginia, speed cameras are not legal. except in some very specific cases, in school zones and in work zones. The Virginia General Assembly is looking at that. They've looked at it before, so we can never, I don't know for sure what the law will be in 6 months or a year. But in Fairfax County, we can only do things that are authorized by the General Assembly. So right now we can't do that. One other thing you could do, though, even in the near future, is request from the Franconia Board Office if they can help get speed signs or speed trailers out there. The police have a few signs. Now they are just temporary. Usually the police put them out for 1 week or 2 weeks, and then move them to other locations in the district. And then the other thing, you can always request additional enforcement, although we all know the police are pretty burdened with a lot of requests. But those are sort of the tools at our disposal beyond traffic calming.
Okay, thank you. Moving to the next question, Matt, I believe you had your hand raised. I'll send you a request to unmute.
Hello, thanks for allowing me to speak here tonight. So I'm the owner there at the corner of I own a house there on the corner of Quaker and Elmwood, and people used to come flying through that intersection there on Elmwood, just not even with disregard of the stop sign that's right there. I wonder if any consideration was given to moving one of these speed humps closer to that intersection, just down a block there, so it's on that 3200 block, or or adding a third one in at that spot too, to help with some of the speeding through that intersection right there. I had 3 young kids, or I have 4 now, but when I lived there, I had 3 young kids that were there, and so it was always a little treacherous playing there in the front yard. So any consideration about putting one closer to that stop sign?
Well, I can say I shared the field map that we have. So we have some guidelines for proposing the measures. As you can see here, because of the stop signs, the distance should be 300 feet. And from any intersections also, we need 150. So unfortunately, the distance we have here is not enough to actually propose any device here.
Okay, so it's got to be 300 feet from the stop sign and then 150 feet from an intersection.
Correct.
Okay. Wow. Okay.
Sorry about that.
Okay, the next question I saw was from Miriam, and she asked, is this part of a broader effort to reduce the speed limit on Elmwood? Not advocating for that per se, but trying to understand, is there any future plans for speed monitoring / control / mitigation? If yes, what is the process for that? A similar public engagement / ballot measure.
Well, okay, as to speed limit, right now in Fairfax County, 25 miles per hour is the minimum speed limit. So there's no effort to reduce speed limits. As for speeding, we have found these devices to be pretty effective. I mean, I'm hoping in this case that would happen. I will say that speeding and, careless driving is an issue all over the county, and we do what we can, but there's no magic bullet that's going to correct this. It's driver behavior and then trying to put in devices to slow folks down.
Okay, thank you, Neil. I see the next hand raised from the number ending in 7197. If you want to unmute yourself.
I think I did that by mistake. I apologize.
Oh, that's okay. The next, Greg, I will send you a request to unmute.
Can you hear me?
Yeah,
Yes, we can hear you.
Thank you. I found out about you through the next door, but a better way, I was wondering if there's a contact that you would have, an email that we could be updated through through your office. And is that through you said the district, do you mean like our district supervisor or a VDOT contact person? And then the second part is more of a comment. The stop signs that were put up there about 20 or 25 years ago, this was part of a similar effort to reduce the speeds that have been going on. And I just recall the VDOT engineer who came and did a presentation at our community center, I believe it was, indicated that stop signs really then, I don't know about today, but from an engineering standpoint and regulatory, I believe that stop signs were not supposed to be used for speed enforcement, but that is the purpose that they were put up. Ostensibly, it's not to be that way, but that in fact is what it was. So we did make the effort to slow traffic down, and that's how we got those 2 stop signs on Elmwood, and it probably has been somewhat effective, thankfully. But my main thing is just additional contact that we could get to stay in touch through emails or something like that. Thank you very much for your time.
Okay, so I'll handle the second issue first about the stop signs. That is correct, that in the past, before any of us were working at the county, there was a program to install stop signs. But that is no longer the case. VDOT ended that program, and you're correct that stop signs really are not supposed to be used for speed control. They're supposed to be used for traffic control and safety. So VDOT no longer does that, but the signs that were installed in the 90s and early 2000s, they are not making an effort to remove them. As to contact information, the preferred way would be to go through the task force. However, if you want to contact us directly, you certainly can do that, but it's just easier if things go through the task force, or Aaron just sent a comment. The only reason I'm saying that is so everyone sort of gets the same information and there's not just a lot of different information going around. But Aaron just did that. And your question about the district office, yes, that's the supervisor district office, not the VDOT district office.
So then with a task force, is this the only way to contact is through next door, or is there some contact through the quote task force?
That I'm not sure of. Hopefully Aaron would be able to help you with that, Aaron Campbell. I think he put his contact information in the chat. Is that correct?
I was looking to see if Marcos, who is your task force lead, had could put in the chat his email. Yeah, go ahead, Marcos. That's fine.
Okay, I believe the task force lead's email has been shared in the chat. The next question I have from Miriam, did you say how long the actual installation takes, and assume installation will happen on both of them at the same time? Any impacts to through traffic while they're being installed? Thank you.
Yeah, so just quickly reviewing the process. If the ballot passes, we will take this to the Board of Supervisors for endorsement and send it to VDOT for their approval. And then this will go to Department of Public Works for installation. It typically happens in the summer, spring, summer, or fall. There are several traffic calming plans already at DPW in the queue, so this will just be added to that queue. I can't give you a definitive time that would happen. It really depends when each step happens. As to impacts, I know that they set up maintenance of traffic. I think it's just a day or two of construction. I don't know. Put it this way, it's not a long-term construction. And there would be some impacts while it's being built, but it might only be for a day or two. And generally, I think they try to keep the road at least partially open, like maybe one lane in each direction. So there will be some impact, but not a huge impact.
Thank you, Neil. I'm not seeing any more questions at the moment, but if you have them, you can put them in the chat or raise your hand and you'll be able to ask.
Okay, well, thank you all. It looks like we have no more questions. If you do think of questions in the coming days, feel free to contact the task force chair or Aaron. And thank you all for showing up tonight. We appreciate it. Okay, thank you all. Have a good night.
Thanks, guys. Have a good one.